given that it is 5:58 and Jamie, the only member of the planning board that has said that he will not be here, I am going to call this meeting to order. In the meeting, we have Paul Green, Marty Kane,
Yeah,
Susan Sinnet, Tom McGinn,
Present.
Susan Roth,
Here,
and myself, Rich Ganong, the chairman. We only have one item on the agenda tonight. And I have the unfortunate duty of telling you that we cannot do what we want to do. We will be held in violation of the town charter if we try.
And why are we here?
Well, I didn't find out until 11 o'clock this morning. So I told them that we would have the meeting and we would continue on from there. But we cannot change the policy. The charter says that the board, meaning the selectmen, as a body shall exercise all administrative and executive powers of the town, except as otherwise provided by this charter or the Constitution and laws of the state of Maine. A principal function of the board is to establish and execute goals, policies, and strategies for the best interest of the town. And because it says policies, the town manager told me this morning, we cannot enact our own policies. We
To the
must-
chair, why didn't you notify the rest of the town that you knew this at 11 o'clock this morning?
I didn't notify everybody because we had posted the meeting and I wanted to be able to tell you that face to face. So if you all want to leave, you are free to do so. We have been told we cannot do what we want to do.
question,
We must submit to the Board of Selectmen.
question.
Yeah, Marty,
Now, we were allowed because of the COVID and the numbers. Since we're now the second highest in the country, does that make any difference?
I asked the town manager about that. He's aware of the fact that we are among the leading states in the country with COVID. He's aware of the fact that everything has doubled in the past 10 days and that the CDC has indicated that they expect to have over 100 million cases by the fall. The selectmen get to make the decision, and the only way the selectmen will make that decision is if the state goes into a state of emergency. They will not call it on their own.
What does
So
it need? to-
they have no desire then to put a policy like this in place? Is
No.
that what you're
Not at
saying?
all. And we can't do it without their blessing, and they won't give it to us.
What does it take to change the town charter?
Collect the signatures and get it put on the warrant.
How much time?
It won't be this year.
Or was that convenient?
Yeah, we're already into May. We're a month away from the town meeting. There's no way that that would happen this year. But that's what I was told in my meeting this morning. And I expressed to the town manager my displeasure with that fact. I don't think it's right. But it is what the charter says. And when I questioned the fact that it says, except as otherwise provided by this charter or the Constitution and laws of the state of Maine, the laws that we referenced, no, the charter takes precedence over everything.
so quick question for you, not that it's meaningful in terms of the selectmen's decision, but what is their rationale behind forcing a board like the planning board to meet in person,
I don't.
given
know
all
what
the
their-
things that we've said that would be advantageous not to?
I don't know what their rationale is. What I was told is that they feel that since they met it face to face throughout the entire COVID epidemic, the rest of the boards should do so as well.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It is. It's ridiculous. Just because I did what you did. So that's like this thing, anti-maskers and other people that didn't wear masks, didn't whatever, they got sick, but they're fine. You need to do it too. That's ridiculous.
It is, I should tell you, and this may or may not go over well with all of you. When we meet in town hall from now on, we're going to meet masked up
Why?
You're gonna
because
be what?
we're gonna wear masks.
Are they gonna force attendees to wear masks?
No, I am. That is a policy decision. If we're going to claim, and this is part of my rationale, if we're gonna claim that we have a health issue that we should be concerned about, then we should wear masks to back up that claim that we object to the policy of the Board of Selectmen.
But they're not gonna require people who attend the meeting to wear masks,
No,
even though public buildings throughout Maine are declaring a mask mandate inside.
I asked Lee J about that this morning. And Lee J said that we can make the decision to tell people who are in the audience that they must wear masks.
So everyone who walks in the door during our meetings has to have a mask on their face due to our policy.
That is correct. And that's what it now says that on the agenda for the meeting next month, or next Tuesday, rather. It says that masks are mandatory.
To the chair respectively, I would have preferred a heads up of this because I wouldn't have driven into Portland an hour early
I'm
to
sorry.
get to the parking spot, to have a conversation, to have it be passed. 'Cause I want to make sure you had a quorum in order for this to happen. If there was really nothing going to be changed about the discussion except being told nothing's changing.
Unfortunately, that's true, and I will accept.
Even a heads up, I still could have chosen to do so. But it altered, this is not our normal night. Other people have other things to do. But it would have been just a heads up, this is going to be occurring versus me rushing in to do something, to sit here and to be told that we're just going to be told what we were told before.
Okay. I'll take the blame for it. It was my decision.
Is there any way to have them to reconsider?
I would show up at the next selectmen's meeting and ask them. But based on what I got from the town manager this morning, they're not going to. And I thought about it. I looked at it and went, I think the charter says that except as otherwise provided by this charter or the Constitution and laws of the state of Maine, we would have standing to go our own way, but we're gonna have to fight them in court to get to do that.
Oops, I have a question. But when we went to that special meeting with the selectmen, they argued that legally we were required to have face-to-face meetings.
Yep.
Now they're saying that the reason why we have to have face-to-face meetings is because they've met face-to-face and they haven't gotten sick. And so we all
and
have to.
That's correct. And the charter gives them the ability to tell us that.
So they're off of the argument that it's a legal issue, and now they're just onto the argument that that's what they feel like at this particular moment.
That's a good
You know,
one.
Dan Du Bois was afraid of getting sued. Sounds like
I think we should
that's
be
fallen
looking
by the
into
wayside.
to the chair, I think we should be looking into a legal person asking a legal person versus city planner, or the thing of really what it is. And if someone can say legally what this is versus, well, we want you to, versus it being, this is truly what we need to do. I think that's something more than just a discussion. If this is something we feel strongly about, to ask somebody legally to, because again, listening to the chart as you've discussed it, it doesn't sound like that they can overrule you if we put a policy in place, because I read it as well. So having someone actually law-wise analyze it versus just a discussion with the town planner, the town manager.
It's a good
Because
point.
we are, and we do funding, we do things, we do policy. This is just something that's not just, we're not just a, puppet of the selectmen.
Well, actually, they're showing us that we are. That's basically what this is.
Yeah,
This is a power struggle.
And the next step would be to get, unfortunately, the people who work up in Augusta haven't got the stones to stand up and say, you know, that's what the law says. We would have to get a lawyer and fight them.
Right, but you know, there's nothing to stop them from falling back on the argument that the town attorney says that they have the right to do it and it's in the charter, and we would have
But,
been spinning our wheels and gotten nowhere.
But our argument would be not that the town attorney said, and not that it's in the charter. Our argument would be that the charter specifically says that the laws of the state of Maine trump the charter. But that's not the message I was given. I was given the message that the charter trumps the state of Maine.
Who said that?
I think a clear reading of 4.5 indicates otherwise.
But, you know, the woman who gave us the legal decision out of Augusta said that the decision of the MMA was that it was probably
Up to us,
most up to us, but not definitively up to us.
which is why we would have to get a lawyer. Because part of
And-
the argument that we would have to make is that the charter is wrong. The charter, we would have to make the argument the charter does not trump the laws of the state of Maine. To do that, we would have to go to court.
Well,
At any rate, that's the sad news that I have to deliver. And it,
Now, question,
yeah, Marty,
what happened if we don't show up?
if you don't show up, we don't have a quorum.
well, we could all be very Gandhi-esque and do a peaceful protest and not show up and do the town's business. And, you know, those of us who decide to do that run the risk of getting fired. And those of us who are willing to take that risk,
If you do that and you are sick, you can still attend the meetings on Zoom. If you are out of town, you can still attend the meetings on Zoom. There are any number of options that would allow you to still come to the meeting and be at the meeting in person and have input.
You know, anxiety and things is a medical condition.
Okay,
So, you know what I'm saying? So if you want to put that out there, all of us are anxious about, well, I'd say for majority of us are anxious in regard to the situation because of our health and our families and situation. My daughter is in college. She's going to miss her stupid master's degree graduation because she got COVID because of this sort of thinking. I am not happy at all. So I respectfully say I'm going to be leaving the meeting right now, and I'm going to go make some pins explode. Have a good evening.
all right, take care.
Bye.
Can you reiterate that? I didn't understand that.
If
you
you,
can call in sick, Marty.
yeah, you can call in sick, you can call in out of town.
Yeah, that part I understood, but what was Susan just saying?
Her daughter is missing her master's
Correct.
graduation because she got COVID because of the fact that she had to attend a meeting someplace. And now she's gonna go make some bowling balls explode or pins explode.
Any one of us, if we are uncomfortable, we can just say we're sick. I mean, we don't need a doctor's note. I don't think they can do anything about that.
No, I don't,
It's just not as effective if some of us are in person, like last week with the, that engineer that was trying to present, it just didn't work in the, at town hall, trying to connect Zoom in.
You know, the problem too is that the public who attends is not able to participate in the meetings. And that was part of the charm of the chemistry that occurred during the Zoom meetings that we held prior to this mandate by the selectmen.
Right, because we allowed the public to participate. We allowed them to ask questions and to make points. Under the current policy that the Board of Selectmen have, if you're not in the room, board members are allowed to comment, board members are allowed their input, but the public is not allowed to input unless they are physically in the room.
Do the selectmen run a Zoom meeting?
No, they
tape
meet,
it, but
they
they
meet
don't
in
run one.
person.
No, even if at the town hall.
Yes, Marty, it is it is taped, it is broadcast and it is taped, and you can watch it, but you cannot comment in the meeting. If you want to comment at the selectmen's meeting, you have to be there face to face.
Question,
Yes, Marty.
can somebody who is watching the Zoom, can they receive a phone call for a party outside
I have no idea.
and relay it?
They could call one of the members of the Board of Selectmen and talk to them,
For the planning board.
or the planning board. Theoretically,
I'm just I'm not trying to, I'm just asking questions.
yeah. Theoretically, they could do that, but I have to tell you that if you call my cell phone, I don't answer my cell phone when I'm in meetings, if I can
Oh, I
avoid it.
realize that.
And in all probability, my phone would not ring because of the security protocols that are on it.
That's what I think about with this policy. That's my puppy squeezing his duck. What do you think, Tashi? Well, I'm not happy. And
Nope.
I'm gonna, I have to think long and hard whether or not I want to serve on a board that doesn't have any kind of decision-making capability as it pertains to our health and well-being. It's really a shame. And, I don't know, I got to think about it. That's all I'll say for now. I love the board. I enjoy serving on it. I think I do a service, but I just think this policy is about flexing muscles more than anything else.
That's probably true. Sadly. Any thoughts, Paul?
Yeah, I think probably our only shot at this is if we take this policy you've got written up, okay? We either get on the agenda and go to the next selectman meeting, and maybe we all show up, okay? And make our case and find out why they're being pigheaded. I think that's the only choice we got. If the charter really is that way, and they've got that say, and their only fallback is because I said so, that's probably not a good reason. And then maybe we at least make it known and try it one time in person and see what happens. I mean, no, their first time with us, right, was because the law said so.
Correct.
And it was true, right?
Yeah,
The
unfortunately.
following day,
it was
they
true.
changed the law. So now that they've changed the law and all our other arguments were valid before, then I say, okay, fine. You're right. We can't put the policy out based on our charter, but you can. So why don't you put the policy out and then let the boards do what they want to do? We're all volunteers. We're not getting the, 300,000 a year like Congress, and then, of course, all the paybacks on the side. So far, I haven't had anybody make a bid to me to, or a bribe. It just isn't working. But I'm thinking we at least go out front of them and plead our case. I mean, we got nothing to lose at this point, right?
Yeah.
Susan,
If we meet amongst ourselves and complain about it, it's not gonna do any good. We gotta meet with them and convince them it's the right thing to do.
Susan,
Yes,
since you have the beautiful ability of writing, would it do any good to write the governor direct?
I thought about that and I'm going to, offline, I'll talk to Rich about it and see if I can't make some headway at the head office in Augusta. I mean, it's really frustrating. And, you know, by the way, and Rich and I have talked about this prior to the meeting, that I wrote to all of our representatives, and including the gentleman who wrote the initial bill. And the only person who didn't respond to us was one of our representatives. Wayne Perry, in spite of like a half a dozen emails that he was on, never responded. Not an assistant, not an associate. No one from his office responded to us. But Republican or Democrat, everybody else did. Pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. So yeah, I would think about it, Marty. And I, be happy to talk to you offline, just what you think would be a persuasive argument. But the fact that the gentleman who wrote the bill said his job is to write the bill but not interpret it is, pretty mind-boggling. That's what he wrote in an email, right, Rich?
Yep, he did.
I saw your email.
His job is to write the bills but not interpret them.
Which I found that to be incredibly amusing, because any court in the country will tell you that it's legislative intent that helps them to decide what's going on.
So yes, Marty, I will write to Janet Mills.
I like Paul's idea of showing up at the next selectmen's meeting. I can see if we can get this put on the agenda to have a discussion with the selectmen about this whole issue.
And you know what, Rich? Even if they don't put us on the agenda,
We can
They have
show
a
up.
place
there's a
of public
comment
comment.
time.
exactly.
Well, and why don't
We
we
bring that
see
with
if
us.
why don't we get perhaps a group together of people who have attended the Zoom meetings? And even the people from the Arundel Conservation Trust and some of the developers who are here and some of the landowners that want to develop their property and who have found the Zoom meetings to be incredibly convenient and purposeful.
The more people you get to back it up, the stronger it's gonna be, right? Because those are the people who elect the selectmen.
Well, Marty, don't you think that's an approach also?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, we've had better input, no more undercurrents of being bad mouthed or anything else by the Zoom meetings.
Well, maybe that's it, Marty. Maybe that's the problem. We're doing a good enough job that it's a problem.
Okay, well, I'm going to
Come
call the
on.
meeting to a close.
Curiosity, before you close it,
Yeah, Marty.
ask, or can somebody get to Yance and ask his opinion, who is a former member?
We can, but I'm not sure. There were issues.
I realize the issues.
No, they're
But-
not the issues that I thought they were.
No,
It wasn't just
Tad,
bad. There were other issues at play in that whole decision.
nothing to do with the board, was it?
I have no idea.
That you know of?
There were other items that came into play, and I'm not sure if it was the board. I don't know if it was the planning board, the select board, the town manager, the sun coming up in the east. I'm not sure what the rationale was.
Marty, he may have had clients that created conflicts for him too.
that's possible, but I was just thinking as a past member. Okay, and where he has had to do lawyer cases and this, that, and everything else. And how that is where I was coming from. I mean, and are there any of the other towns doing Zoom?
Lots of the other towns are still doing Zoom.
But the selectmen, our selectmen don't care. So we either have to make a public outcry, get enough people to substantiate, the fact that Zoom has been a positive thing, but that also, more importantly, we're concerned about our health and the health of the townspeople, or, not serve on the board,
Either
basically.
that or a letter to the editors.
I don't think the Portland Press Herald cares what we do.
Guys, you don't want to make this an all-out war of us against the planning board, because that's not going to be good for the town. It
No,
doesn't
it's
matter
not.
what side you're on, it's going to be ugly. I think you just go in, you state the facts, you plead your case, you get enough people that are positive about it and want to back it up, like maybe the conservation folks, and then go from there. I mean, starting a war is not a good thing. It's not going to do any of us in town good. That's my opinion anyway.
And I would agree with you. I don't want to have a war over the whole issue.
I didn't
I
mean a
would like-
war.
I would like clarification on what the charter has to say, because I disagree with them that the charter supersedes the state laws, because it says or the Constitution and state laws.
And that's a good point, and we can ask them to go get a legal clarification for us. That's a valid question, I think. And there's no reason why they shouldn't go get that if we ask it. But if it's even allowed, then there's no reason why they can't adopt this policy for us and let us do what we want. They
Yeah.
want to continue to meet in person, that's fine.
And the way I wrote the policy, we addressed both meeting in person and meeting on Zoom.
Right.
At the end of the day, you're going to tape both meetings anyway. It
Right.
breaks down more to a question of who gets to comment during the meetings. Guys, have a good evening.
I think that's our best shot, guys.
I agree.
let's-
And
know.
I'll go in and I'll ask Keith if he'll put us on the agenda.
Okay,
But please, if he puts us on the agenda, everybody has to show up.
We basically were
One or
there
two of
last
us will
time.
not do any good.
We were there last time and except for one.
but Marty, last time they had the law that stated we had to be there.
That's right.
Now the laws changed the day after.
It changed a week later.
Right, so we've got a different set of circumstances now.
And that's where they're arguing about the whole fact that it's policy now. Well, it wasn't policy before.
Right. Right.
So guys,
Well, laws
Have a
have to
good
be
evening.
followed, policies can be adjusted.
you guys all
Thank
have a
you.
good evening.
Thank you.